Hi, I'm Ellen from the Chili Dog. I'm starting another pool house poncho, and today I'd like to show you how to create the twisted garter edging around the neckline. This technique is also sometimes called a twisted garter cuff. Whether you're using this edging for a project that's worked in rows or that's worked in the round, like the neckline of my poncho, stitches are cast onto your needles, and the first 5 rows are knit flat using garter stitch. That just means that all the stitches in each row are knit on both the right side and the wrong side. The next row is where you add that special little twist. I'll be demonstrating both Continental and English style because the motion involved changes slightly depending on how you manage your yarn. Let's get started.
Before we begin, if you'd prefer ad-free access to every tutorial in our searchable and neatly organized library, head over to thechilidog.com and join our pack. A basic membership unlocks all of our content, or treat yourself to that, plus free patterns including all of our new releases and more.
Even though I'm not a native Continental knitter, I find it easier to get even twists when I use Continental style to create a twisted garter edge. I'm going to place a twist between every 4 stitches across my edge, but you could twist more or less frequently if desired. I'm going to knit my first 4 stitches. And then it's time to make that twist. My right hand needle tip goes back and over my yarn, down and under the fabric, and then back up to my natural knitting position. And you can see here that there's a twist in the fabric, and also the yarn is wrapped around the edge of that twist. So then I'll go ahead and knit my next 4 stitches, and then make my next twist. Again, by taking my right hand needle tip over the yarn, down and under the edge, forward and back up to my natural knitting position. And you can see here that I kind of straightened out the fabric to keep it from curling around my needle too much. I'll just continue across and knit 4 stitches and make a twist, knit 4 stitches and make a twist, and then I'll finish the row by knitting the final 4 stitches. When creating a twisted garter edge English style, because we're holding the yarn in our right hand, there's one extra motion that isn't necessary for the Continental style version. I'm placing a twist between every 4 stitches, but you could twist more or less frequently if desired. I'm going to start by knitting my first 4 stitches. Before I start my twist, I have to bring my yarn forward between the 2 needles. Then my right hand needle tip goes back, down under the fabric, and up to my natural knitting position. You can see I'm flipping the fabric around as I go, and also our working yarn is getting twisted around the fabric when we make that twist of our needle. After the twist, the working yarn is now naturally at the back of the needle, and we're ready to continue on. So I'll knit 4 more stitches. Get my yarn tail out of the way here. Then again, I'm ready to make the next twist. Our yarn comes forward, and then the needle tip in our right hand goes back, down under the edge of the fabric, up to our natural knitting position, and you can flip that rest of the fabric on the right needle around. So again, I'll knit 4 stitches and then make another twist, knit 4 stitches and make a twist until I get all the way across, and I'll end the row by knitting 4 stitches. Making all those twists can also twist your work around your needles. So when you finish that twist row, it is worth taking a minute and just straightening everything out so it's easier to continue on. When you finish that twist row and straighten everything out on your needles, you may be looking at the edge and thinking, this does not look great. I can't see those pretty twists. And that's because right now you're looking at the wrong side of the fabric. Before you continue on, you have to turn things over to the right side. And now you can see those pretty twists are better defined and just look a whole lot nicer. If you are working in rows, you would just continue on in your pattern. And again, this is the right side. I'm going to be working in rounds, but before I connect the ends to work in the round, I'm going to work across one more row. When I get to the end of my row, since now I have my right side facing, and I'm going to be continuing in the round for the rest of my poncho, all I need to do is spread out my stitches all the way around my circular needle and just make sure that the edge is not twisted around the needle any place. And then I can continue on knitting in the round. So I won't turn it, I'll just continue on knitting in the round in pattern. When you get to the point that you're finishing your project, you'll need to decide what to do with this gap between the beginning and end of your twisted garter edge. Sometimes you could leave it open as a design element, but usually you're going to want to join these ends together to make the gap less noticeable. So I usually just use the yarn tail from the cast on edge, place the 2 edges side by side, and then do a sort of whip stitch just to connect those together. I'll start at the top and work down just to close up that hole. I'm not using anything too fancy here, just a quick little connection with a whip stitch. In some cases that might be good enough. You could take your tail to the back and weave it in, or you may try to do some sort of decorative stitching here on the top to make the slant more closely resemble the slant from the twists. But for today, I think I'm just going to leave mine because this is going to be at the back neckline of my poncho, so it's not going to be that visible. I'll just poke my yarn tail through to the back and then weave it into the wrong side of my work. I hope you enjoyed learning how to make a twisted garter edge or cuff. If you'd like to try this technique in a pattern, head over to the shop section of thechilidog.com and look for my pool house poncho. Until we stitch again, happy knitting!